Stop what you're doing. You think you know history? Think again. In the blink of an eye, a single invention or a devastating war completely rerouted the human story. We're talking about the biggest history-changing moments after the year zero, the foundations of the world you're sitting in right now. From the rise of paper to the fall of empires and the launch of rockets. Get ready because these are the top 10 events that completely shaped human history. What's up, history hunters? Today, we're diving deep into the most consequential 2,000 years humanity has ever seen. We've sifted through world wars, great discoveries, and paradigm-shifting technologies to bring you the definitive list. You're about to discover not just what happened, but why it still dictates your life today. Let's count them down. Number 10, the fall of the Western Roman Empire, year 476 AD. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the collapse of the ultimate superpower, the Western Roman Empire. For centuries, it was the gold standard for law, engineering, and military might. But internal corruption, overexpansion, and constant invasions finally brought the behemoth down in 476 AD. This wasn't just a government change. It was the end of an era. The fallout plunged Europe into the so-called Dark Ages, breaking down trade, education, and centralized rule. It fractured the continent into the very patchwork of nations we know today. Without this event, modern Europe, and by extension, the West, would be unrecognizable. Wow fact, the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine, actually lasted for another 1,000 years after the West fell, preserving Roman law and culture. Number 9, the Black Death, year 1347 to 1351. At number 9, we have a pandemic that redefined the word devastation. The Black Death, or the bubonic plague, was brought to Europe from Asia, likely via trade ships. It spread like wildfire, indiscriminately wiping out families and communities. The horror is hard to imagine, but the consequences were revolutionary. Killing an estimated 25 to 50 million people in Europe alone, the massive labor shortage fundamentally changed the economy. Suddenly, surviving peasants had leverage. Wages rose, serfdom declined, and the power dynamic between the rich and the poor was permanently altered, setting the stage for the modern working class. Wow fact, the global population didn't recover to pre-plague levels until the 17th century, over 300 years later. Number 8, the invention of the printing press, year 1440. Number 8 is a quiet mechanical revolution. Before Johannes Gutenberg's printing press, books were painstakingly copied by hand, a luxury reserved only for the elite. This machine changed everything about how humans share ideas. Suddenly, knowledge was decentralized and accessible. Scientific ideas could spread quickly, religious texts could be read by laymen, and political thoughts could spark widespread change. It turbocharged the Renaissance and the Reformation, laying the groundwork for mass education and literacy. It's the original internet. Wow fact. Within 50 years of its invention, an estimated 20 million books were in circulation across Europe. Number 7, the European discovery of the Americas, born on year 1492. Landing at number 7 is an event with a deeply complicated legacy. Columbus's 1492 voyage and the subsequent European discovery and colonization of the Americas. While catastrophic for the indigenous populations, this moment linked the world in an unprecedented way. The Columbian Exchange introduced new crops and livestock across the continents, fundamentally changing global diets. Think potatoes in Ireland, tomatoes in Italy. Crucially, it dramatically shifted the global economic center from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic, fueling the rise of European global powers and the tragic history of the transatlantic slave trade. Wow fact, before the discovery, there were no horses in the Americas and no potatoes in Europe. Number 6, the Enlightenment, year 1715 to 1789. You can't talk about modern governance without mentioning number 6, the Enlightenment. This was a powerful, century-long intellectual movement that challenged centuries of religious and royal authority, championing reason, individualism, and logic. Philosophers started questioning the divine right of kings, arguing instead for concepts like separation of powers, natural rights, and popular sovereignty. These ideas were the dynamite that sparked the American and French revolutions, giving birth to modern democracies, constitutions, and the very concept of a citizen's rights. Wow fact: the U.S. Declaration of Independence is heavily influenced by the Enlightenment concept of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Originally articulated by John Locke as life, liberty, and property. Number 5. The Industrial Revolution, year 1760 to 1840. At number 5, we hit a moment that still dictates your 9 to 5, the Industrial Revolution. Starting in Great Britain, it was a rapid shift from manual, agrarian labor to machine-based manufacturing, driven by inventions like the steam engine and mechanized looms. This massive economic shift led to unprecedented urbanization, the creation of huge wealth for some, and new class struggles for others. It introduced mass production, the factory system, and the incredible burning of fossil fuels, creating the consumer world and the environmental challenges we face today. Wow fact: the output of iron in Britain alone increased by over 1,000% between 1740 and 1840. Number 4. World War I, year 1914 to 1918. Number 4 is the war that ended all innocence. World War I. Triggered by a complex web of alliances and imperial ambitions, it was the first truly global and industrialized conflict, introducing terrifying new weapons like machine guns, poison gas, and tanks. The staggering cost, over 17 million dead, shattered the confidence in Europe's old order. It led directly to the collapse of 4 major empires: Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian, Russian, and German, and the creation of many new states. But its harsh resolution ultimately laid the direct groundwork for the next, even more devastating conflict. Wow fact: over 200,000 miles of trenches were dug during the war, enough to wrap around the Earth almost 8 times. Number 3. The rise of the Internet and digital age, year 1990 to present. Okay, hold up. At number 3, we have the change we're living through right now. The digital age. The widespread adoption of the Internet has shrunk the globe more quickly and completely than any other event on this list. This technology has democratized information, redefined communication, and created a hyper-connected, globalized culture. It's a double-edged sword. It empowers massive social movements while also concentrating power in huge tech companies. The way you learn, shop, communicate, and even vote is now entirely dictated by the digital world. Wow fact: it took radio 38 years to reach 50 million users. It took the internet only 4 years. Number 2, World War II and the atomic age, year 1939 to 1945. Number 2 is the most destructive conflict in human history, which simultaneously led to the modern global order. World War II. Driven by extremist ideologies, this war killed an estimated 70 to 85 million people, roughly 3% of the world's population. The war's end introduced the atomic age, forever changing humanity's capacity for self-destruction. The geopolitical landscape was carved up between 2 new superpowers, the US and the USSR, leading to the Cold War. The foundation of the United Nations, human rights laws, and the global focus on decolonization all emerged directly from this cataclysm. Wow fact: the Soviet Union alone suffered the loss of over 27 million people, both military and civilian. Number 1. The Scientific Revolution, year 1543 to 1687. And the single most impactful event since the year 0? It's not a war or a famine, but a change in how we think. At number 1, it's the Scientific Revolution. Beginning roughly with Copernicus and ending with Newton, this period ushered in the age of empirical evidence, observation, and testable hypotheses. Before this, knowledge was often based on ancient texts or religious authority. The Scientific Revolution established the scientific method, which is the tool that built every piece of technology you rely on today, from medicine and skyscrapers to space travel and semiconductors. It elevated reason and paved the way for every major discovery that followed. Wow fact: without the discoveries of the scientific revolution, the average human lifespan would be less than half what it is today. Whoa! From the fall of Rome to the birth of the internet, that was the 2,000-year sprint that made our world. Every law, every border, and every screen you look at was shaped by these 10 events. Which one surprised you the most? Did we miss a world changer? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell for more mind-blowing top 10s every week. See you in the next video.